So it's a beautiful day here in South Florida, and I've pulled out the pop-up camper. No, we're not going camping this week. We're doing that next week at John Prince Park up in West Palm Beach, and we're really excited about that one. But today, we're going to install a ShadeMaker Supreme XL awning. See, one of the things we've learned with camping here in Florida is it rains a lot. I mean, like every single day during the summer. And we don't like to do any of our cooking in the camper, with the exception of like heating up water for coffee and stuff like that, because we don't want to have like all of the bacon grease and, you know, the smells of hamburgers and onions and things like that. So we cook everything on a little table outside with our Blackstone griddle. The problem with that is it rains, and I don't want to be cooking in the rain. The other thing is it's very sunny here in South Florida. I mean, who would have guessed, right? But what happens is the sun, first of all, it beats down on the camper, it heats everything up there, and also when you're cooking, it gets like unbearably hot. So what we've been doing is just like taking tarps and tying them up to like the top of the camper, using bungee cords, tent poles, things like that. What's happened though is, first of all, it's very inconvenient. It takes a long time to set that up. And then also what ends up happening is, you know, you have to tie down the tent pole somewhere. And last week when we were camping, we were on a concrete paved slab, so there was no place to do the tent poles. So we decided to pull the trigger on getting this ShadeMaker, and we got the best one they have with like a center pole for the higher winds, and also this one will actually, the front legs that are away from the camper, instead of like having to be staked down in the ground, you can swing them back and attach them to the camper, which will stop that problem of having to always find a place to like bang tent stakes in. So we're gonna get going on putting this in. We bought an 11-foot awning. I'm super excited. Now, the one thing I will say right off the bat, there's not a lot of good instructions on this. I mean, there's like one page of instructions, and I'm just trying to find things. There's not a whole lot of information on YouTube about it, which is why we're making this video. So we're gonna go over step by step how to do this. I already noticed it didn't come with any kind of sealant or sealing tape or screws. So the first thing I have to do is run to the store and get some of that stuff. Okay, I got everything laid out. I'm back from the store. Let me show you what we got. We got the Dicor tape, and that's to go underneath the awning rail, make sure everything's nice and sealed. Then I got some lap sealant, and I'm using the non-leveling one because, you know, we're gonna be on the side of the camper, and I don't want it to be rolling down the camper as it levels out. And then finally, I'm gonna use stainless steel screws to install the awning rail. And I'm just using stainless steel screws just for that extra protection of rust, not having to worry about, you know, heads breaking off if you ever have to take it off or anything like that. Okay, to start off with, we need to attach these two main rails together. Since we bought an 11-foot awning, it comes in two different pieces, so they give you these angle brackets. So we're gonna go ahead and set everything up and start with that. So unfortunately, I can't find my little magnetic disc, so we're resorting to a kitchen bowl. Yuck, flathead screws. I can't stand flathead screws. So I have one side done. I want to show you where we're at. So it comes with two angle brackets, and I found it does matter. They must put these in and then drill the holes. So you're going to have to make sure you line up the holes. Otherwise, one of them is not going to fit. So we have the angle bracket kind of comes up like this and then down along the bottom. And then the other one is the same thing. And then what's going to happen is you're going to take a bolt and go through this way, which leads me to the bolts. There's two different sizes. Make sure you use the right ones. So the shorter one is where it goes through the single bracket to the back, and then the longer one is the one that actually connects these two pieces. Also, the pan head goes on the bottom, so everything should come in like this. Now also, don't tighten these until you get everything together, otherwise you may have a problem. So we're gonna attach the other side, then we'll tighten everything down. Okay, we got everything bolted together. Now what I'm gonna do is tighten up one side. Then after that, we're going to kind of push down on the railing to try to get rid of this gap on the top and bottom, and then we'll tighten up the other side. Okay, I want to stop the installation for just a minute to give a little nitpick or suggestion to ShadeMaker. Whenever I buy something I have to assemble, like a table or a chair or an awning, it's nice when the company gives you some extra hardware. So in putting the main, you know, part of the awning together, where you had to put the two different rails together, they don't give you any extra screws or nuts. And I know somebody is gonna make a comment that, well, you shouldn't be putting it together in the grass. I know, I shouldn't, but I don't have a giant garage, an area that I can lay everything out where it's not in the grass. And plus, I want the tree behind me for the shade because it's hot down here. But I didn't lose any nuts or bolts or anything like that. But it would be nice if they would give you a couple of extra ones in case you do lose one. And also, let's face it, sometimes they miscount when they put something in a package. I'm not saying that ShadeMaker has done that, but sometimes companies miscount or the machines miscount, and now you're short one. So if they give you a couple extras, you don't ever have to worry about it. Okay, so the next step is to unroll the awning and then roll everything back up with that inside of it. Okay, this is very important. When you roll out the awning, you have to have the colored side facing up. Now if you're getting an all white, just look at the seams down here like this. You should have this little overhang, and so this is obviously the bottom. Now when you look at the rail, you're going to see two different channels. You have this channel here and then this channel here. This channel is actually for lights. So once you get your awning up, you'll be able to string some lights through there. So we're going to take this little black piece and it's going to go through this. Okay, so once everything is in, we're going to take these little screws here and we're going to screw in about an inch down from here. So you go through this and then into the actual awning material. Now before you screw in the other end, you can see I don't have it screwed in yet. What you're going to do is you're going to hold your vinyl material nice and tight and then push down on the railing so that this is tight along the way. I just can't do it while I'm holding the camera. Okay, now that that's done, we have to roll it up, and you're going to roll it underneath so that this is exposed. Okay, now that that part's done, we have to install the actual awning rail on the pop-up camper. Now this is the part that the whole bag actually hangs on, and that's where I'm going to use those stainless steel screws. Another little nitpick though, I have an 11-foot awning, but they sent me 4-foot sections, so I actually have to trim one of these awning rails down. Honestly, for the amount of money I paid for this, I paid like $500 for it, and it did take 4 weeks to get. It would be nice if they actually cut the awning rail to the correct size for me. I mean, I have a lot of good tools. I have cutoff tools and everything else, but some people don't have cutoff tools and files and everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut one of these down to make sure everything fits properly. Okay, so my awning is 11 feet long, but I wanted to give myself just a little bit of extra room, so I cut the awning rail, I cut 11 inches off of it. So that's gonna make the awning rail actually 11 foot 1 inch long, just so there's a little bit of play on each side in case there's a problem later. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this thing as high as possible. Obviously you can see this is where the door is. So we're gonna mount it just above these screws that hold the braces in. So it's gonna come right about there. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure it off. I need to go 3.5 inches from each end. Okay, I wanted to make sure it was straight. So here's what I did. I wanna be just above this screw. This screw holds in the brace for the roof, so for the air conditioner. So what I did was I went to this bottom here, like on the cap, I measured 8 inches up and I marked myself all the way around, and now when I put this on like that, there's enough clearance there and I don't have to worry about wrapping around the top of the roof. Next thing I'm gonna do is take this butyl tape and line the back of all of the awning rails. So we have the first railing section on here, and it's right across the line. It's on my mark over here, 3.5 inches from over here. Another little nitpick thing, there's no pre-drilled holes for this awning rail, so I'm gonna go like every couple inches and drill them in, but it would be nice if they would actually pre-drill these so that I don't have to. Okay, the awning rail is on, and again, they didn't give you any instructions on how far apart to put the screws. So my feeling is I'd rather have more screws than not enough, especially here in Florida where we get some extra winds. I put them about every 4 inches apart, basically used one package of screws. So even though I do have the die core underneath here and that's sealing the screws, I'm gonna go through and then just put an extra bead of sealant down the top of the railing and also on top of each screw. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick lunch break because Rachel just got home and we're having Buffalo Wild Wings, and I wanna really enjoy these wings. because we're about to start a 72-hour fast. If you haven't seen our other channel, I'll leave a link for it up here in the corner. We have our Two Crazy Ketos channel, and like I said, we're starting a 72-hour fast, and I'm going to enjoy this last meal for 3 days. Okay, next thing we have to do is install the sockets for the actual awning poles. And you're going to see on here, there's a cutout on the bottom right there. That faces down. And we're going to put it over here right underneath the awning rail. We're going to put it right there. And again, I put some butyl tape behind it just for a good seal. So one here and then one on the other end. Okay, almost done. We have to slide the awning into the awning rail. So we have our bag here. And again, you're going to see like a rope thing here. That's going to slide into the awning rail. The awning is on. Looks like we're going to clear the door over here. Last thing we need to do on this part is secure the actual bag awning to here so it doesn't come off, and they give you a couple of self-tapping screws. So we're just going to put a screw here, and then we're going to put one on the other side, and I have an extra one I think I'm going to put in the middle just to be sure. Okay, so when you actually screw the bag to the awning rail, make sure you go through the sheet metal on the awning rail and then through the bag fabric and through the little rope that's in there that holds it all together. If you miss the bag, it won't be securing it. So I wanted to show you guys something while we're down here. When we got this camper, it was leaking. Fortunately, it only leaked in the corners, so it didn't ruin the whole roof inside. It was really kind of hitting this area and then rolling down on the inside, so ruining the canvas for the most part. But it leaked in two areas. One was behind this plastic area where all this metal comes together. They just sealed it with duct tape, so we filled it in with sealing foam and then put rubber over it. And then it was also leaking underneath these roof racks, which joins this metal sheet with this metal sheet. So what we did was we wanted to get rid of these, but they actually is what holds everything down. So we put a roofing tape down, and then we painted the entire roof with several coats of a rubberized roofing paint, which has a lifetime warranty. And since doing that, we have absolutely no leaks. The only thing is there is a low spot right about here. So when we're camping and we have the air conditioner on, we make the camper slightly off level so that it doesn't pool up right there. Okay, last thing we need to do is install these brackets, and this is for the pole so we can attach it to the trailer on the bottom. Okay, I grabbed Rachel to help me finish this up. Everything is up. We've raised the camper halfway just to make it a little bit easier. I did test this out. You can do it with the camper all the way up, but you're gonna need some kind of a ladder. How was lunch?
It was so stinking good.
Are you ready for the 72-hour fast?
I am. I mean, it was chicken wings for the win, for sure.
Okay, you ready to do this?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna put the camera down. It is pretty easy to do, but like I said, what you need to do is really have the camper halfway up. If you have a ladder, if you're really tall, you could do it all the way up. But you really wanna make sure you have a ladder with you, because if you have a heavy windstorm, you don't want to have to drop the whole camper in order to put it back up.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we even put down the camera, let's show you what you have to do. You're going to see the zipper here. And Rachel, I'll hold the camera. I'll start unzipping it, and you just hold it so it doesn't drop out.
Yes.
You ready?
We do have some poles in here.
So we're going to just unzip the whole thing.
I'm going to take the poles out.
Okay?
All right.
And now we're going to gently unroll it. And then I'm going to put the camera down. Just let it drop down to the ground, but gently. Are you ready for this?
I do, and I love this color, PS.
They have a few different colors. Now, we ordered this. This is the ShadeMaker, but you can get it from several different distributors. We ordered this from RV Awnings. I'll leave a link for it down below. The guy's name is John. He was super awesome. You text him back and forth if you have any questions. He helped me with what we need, what not to buy, how long to get it, and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you come down here, Rachel, in here is your main rail, and there's two sets of poles. So the first set we need is the set that's gonna actually hold the awning up. That's this set right here. And then there's a little piece underneath there, and that's where that pole's gonna go. So go ahead and pull it out. And then just lay it like this. This is the easiest way to do it. And now stretch the two poles out until it locks in place. Okay, now before you go any further, you see this up here? See that little notch in there on that black piece on the bottom? That little piece is gonna go right there. And now you can lay it up against the trailer. Now go ahead and drop it back. And then you can lay it down. And then there's a little pin in here. You can just come down, but we have to do the other side, and we're gonna lock the pin in. Okay, same thing, pull that out. That little black piece goes into the notch that is once again underneath the back. Once that's in, you can drop it down. And now there is some Velcro straps so you can go right along that edge. And I'll do that on the other side. You ready?
Yeah.
Next thing you do is pull it out. And you have these legs down below. You can just pull it like that and let it sit. And then we're gonna stretch these two poles until it locks in place up here. Just drop that like that. And then stretch this pole out. There you go. Now we have to do the other side. That's it. So since you weren't part of the ordering process, I want to explain the difference because they have a couple of different levels. This is the Supreme one. The difference is a lot of them now you would just open that leg up and tent stake it out there.
Ooh, we get a lot of wind here, so tent staking can sometimes be hard. Also, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get ground to stake into. Sometimes it's going to be like on pavement.
Last week we were on concrete. We had no place to stake our like makeshift tarp.
We were tying it to the picnic bench, but it wasn't working.
So we bought this one, and this one gives you that option, but also to connect it to the trailer. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to open up the leg, and down on the bottom, there's a little lever. All you're going to do is pull that lever out, and then drop it down all the way, and then close the lever back up, and then go ahead and do it on the other side as well. So this can be done with one person, but it's easier with two people. Okay, now close it up. Now down on the bottom, what were you gonna say?
I think it is important to note that I am the most unhandy person in
Which
the world.
is why we're having you do this, so that it is not that difficult to do.
If I can figure it out, it can be done.
And I'm not really helping you. So
No.
although we have two of us, it's easier with two people, you're doing it really by yourself. I'm just guiding you.
It's really 1.5.
Okay, so now down, same pole, down on the bottom, there's another extension that comes out.
Okay. Is it gonna
And
click?
pull that out until it clicks into place.
Boop.
Okay, now you're gonna take that and you're gonna come down here, pull out that little pin, and then that goes in the pin.
Did it.
That's it. And we don't have to clamp it because we're not gonna leave it shut, but normally we'd clamp that so it doesn't come apart.
Oh, okay. Well, I can go ahead and do it. There you go.
There you go. Now we just have to do the other side.
It's not heavy at all. It's just awkward.
And again, I think this is much easier if you have two people doing it, but I want to show that one person can do it.
And that one person doesn't have to be super handy. There we go.
Okay, now we actually bought an extra piece. If you want to grab that, I'm going to show it to you. So we did, because this is 11 feet wide, you worry about water like gathering in the middle, especially here in Florida. So this is just a middle spring tension rod. So you just put it together like that. And then you'll see a smaller end and a larger end. The smaller end is going to go in here between these two screws. Just up in there. And then it's just a spring tension rod. And then we just like do that and push it up.
On your camper.
Anywhere on the camper, and that's just so that water doesn't sag the roof.
It is so smart because it does do that. I mean, even when we were doing our makeshift thing, you had like this puddle of water in the middle.
Let's take a look at this from further out. Now, one thing I did want to say, it's windy and the wind is blowing this way, but this does have like a little drop down piece, but you can just see the wind is blowing it on top. Also, a cool feature that I didn't even know about, they have an awning light rail. So you can go to Walmart and get those awning lights, and they just thread right in there.
I am all about those because they're super cute.
Okay, let's take a look at this from out here.
This is a nice amount of coverage, right? Wow. Like, that's a lot of coverage.
Now again, if you have a heavy wind day or a heavy rain day, not wind, you want to take it down in the rain, in the wind. But if we need to drop one end to make sure the water is rolling off, you do it with this lever right here. If you want to go ahead and just loosen up a lever.
Really?
And you can just drop one corner a little bit. So now and then close it back up, and now you'll see
oh, it's
a little bit lower.
But
and you can keep doing that. So you can make it so that you really have it at a good angle. It's completely up to you.
What I like is there's plenty of coverage for our camp kitchen, which we have here. And then still enough to like go in and out of your camper and sit down and watch you cook. I like that.
So I really did want a roll-up awning, like the regular roll, even if it was a hand crank and not an automatic, but those things were a couple of $1,000s.
It just was out of the budget.
So this one wasn't cheap. It was just under $500, but I really feel like it was worth it. We've got the best one that they have. It's made very well from what I can see.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is this: take your time. You know, it is metal, so you can bend these rods and also take it down if you have a heavy wind. So I do anticipate us having to take it down if we have a weekend like we did last weekend where it's like everything is windy. But it would be a lot easier than pulling down a bunch of makeshift tarps that we were doing.
That took a long time. I think with any camping thing, we've learned, start out the day telling your partner how much you love them, how beautiful they are, how handsome they are, like how glad you are that you're doing this together. Because sometimes, like in the haste to set things up, you do get kind of like angry and you try to force things. You're gonna have to take your time or you're gonna break them. I mean, you do not want to put the wrong thing in the wrong hole or try to jam something because it just is not gonna work.
Two things that we have learned that are the test of a marriage.
Yes.
Camping and RVing together during setup and teardown.
Yeah.
And tandem kayaking.
Both of those things will test a marriage, but like you're gonna come out of it on the other end great.
Now I feel like we did a really good job here setting up. This is the first time we set it up. I mean, when I was installing those bottom pieces, I quickly did it. And I did it very quickly. This is the first time Rachel's ever seeing it put up. So we're really quickly going to take it down. We'll put the camera down and see how we take it down, and then we'll come back to wrap this video up. So basically, to take this thing down, everything is just in reverse. That was pretty easy for our first time.
For our first time, there wasn't even a cuss word shared.
Yeah, that was really good. We're still married. High five.
High five.
Got a high five in a marriage. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a rule.
Yes. If I high five, he can't leave me hanging.
Yeah, we can't do that. You were leaving me hanging and I went to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel it's pretty easy. I like the way it's made. It's on here well. It wasn't that difficult to install. Again, the real problem is the instructions are not very clear. So hopefully this video is going to help somebody out. And if it does, do us a favor. hit the thumbs up button.
Yes.
Leave us a comment down below. Let us know that it helped you out.
I hope that you at least take a look at this before you try to attempt putting it up by yourself, because when we saw how little bit of information there were and directions, we were scared because this thing was not cheap.
No.
I don't want to mess it up.
And again, a couple of pet peeves. Overall, I think it's really well made and I think it's worth it, but a couple of pet peeves. Doesn't come with the screws to install the awning rail. The awning rail was free, but there's no screws. The screws cost $5. Throw the screws in there for me.
Yeah.
It did not come with the extra screws or anything like that, and it doesn't come with any kind of butyl tape, which I can get that part, but at least give me the extra screws. Oh, also the awning rail. The awning is 11 feet, but they gave me 12 feet in the awning rail, and you have to cut it off yourself. And some people, like Rachel's brother, they don't have tools to cut that off.
We would not have tools for that growing up.
I have tools for that.
Well, thank goodness.
But a lot of people don't.
Right.
But those are small pet peeves that if ShadeMaker is seeing those, think about including a couple of extra screws, the screws to put the awning rail in, and cutting the awning rail to the size of the awning that the person ordered.
Especially now when I think a lot of people are trying out the camping life. I mean, if you want it to be sustainable, you gotta feel like you can do it even if you're not like, you know, handy-mandy.
Right. So that's going to be our video for today. Hopefully you guys learned something and this was a benefit to you. Now we have a lot of videos coming up in the future, including how we took this camper from the messy, leaking mess that it was to what it is now. We also have a few different campground videos we're going to be coming out with.
So you don't want to miss those, so make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you'll be alerted to it.
See you on the road.
Bye.
Bye.